And so for those small particles, I mean, I mentioned earlier that like in just a general consensus should be it seems to be that as the particle gets smaller and smaller, it gets more toxic, but it's even harder to detect. So what is needed? Is there do we just need a standards method that really works that's proven? Like what is or do we just need a better like instruments? A better instrument needs to develop. Like what is needed to detect those like very small nanoparticles which are very toxic to humans and and their living organisms?
We do need a lot more of these kind of interlab studies because there were some interesting conclusion from these interlab studies and recommendations on how we can improve in characterizing these really smaller microplastics and nanoplastics. And what we need is more research efforts, starting with more funding, on how we can, work together and develop more standardized and validatable methods, particularly for these smaller microplastics and nanoplastics. And that starts with, the scientific community kind of working together across different research groups, not working in silos, that you would often see papers that even in drinking water, everyone seems to use different methods. And so, it's very hard to compare results from these different research papers. So what we need to do is sit together and come up with methodologies that we try and standardize, and that way we can validate, these methods what they can do and what they cannot do. Now, I do need to say that when it comes to nanoplastics, some of these methods, no matter how much we sit together and work on it, is not going to work. Like a traditional micro IR spectroscopy techniques have limitations in terms of what spatial resolution that they can characterize. I would say anything less than 10 microns, no matter how much effort you put into it, you may not see validatable results across the lab if you use this technique. There are other techniques like Raman spectroscopy that have been proven to characterize down to 1 micron. So there is a little bit of an improvement when we apply these Raman spectroscopy techniques. But then nanoplastics is something that is really, really new at this point, and there is no agreement on what are the analytical techniques to use for nanoplastic characterization. And so standardization is still a long way off when it comes to nanoplastics. So I would
Right.
say the low-hanging fruit for standardization of methods is likely in the next 5 years or so is likely going to be at the microplastic scale, potentially down to 1 micron. If we can all agree upon this is the method, this is the approach, and this is how we need to process the sample and analyze the sample and characterize the data that is obtained from the analytical instrument, that would be a big achievement. But if we want to talk about nanoplastics, I think we are still a way off from that.
Great.